The Team Never Quit podcast is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. With Navy Federal, every day is Veterans Day, and they've been proudly serving the military community for over 90 years, and that is not stopping anytime soon. You can learn all about them at NavyFederal.org. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy the show. So today, before we get to our very special guest, let's kick it off with our weekly Patreon question. And this week we have, what is your current or new favorite hobby?
I've had the same hobbies like my whole adult life.
Gardening?
Yeah, I'm a gardener. I make candles. Well, I guess my newest is the beekeeping. I've been doing that for about 3-4 years, and I love it. I love my bees. Those are mine. Mine are very old lady-ish, and I like
candles.
And what?
Candles.
Yeah, I make candles. I like to crochet. I mean, I'm super 90 years old. I do like golf.
I love golf. I don't play. I love to watch.
I love golf.
Something about a Sunday listening to Nance.
Beautiful nature.
Whisper.
Yeah, when he does that stuff he does.
Yeah, the masters. And you just watch the perfect shade of Pantone green and somebody's whispering. It's kind of
because they turn it into a movie.
Yeah.
Like Nance is great at that.
Nance is great.
I mean, you're watching golf, but you're not.
I like to
because of the commentator, because the way he talks, it's like it's alive.
That. Nothing
That's a great point.
relaxes me more.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I like to play. I like to get out there and hit the ball, and I'm always surprised that I actually hit it straight. And I can't hit it super far, but I can actually play. I can play through, so I like that.
What about you, Chris?
You know, I had a range. I guess I still do at my ranch, but it's too hot to go out in the summer. So I'm trying to think if there's. Oh yeah, here I was on the cover of Forbes as Queen of the Internet. I'm telling you, you sleep one day, you are antiquated.
Yeah, you're
antiquated
by a lot.
I am over there going, snap, crap. Wait, I grew up with a Polaroid doing this for my parents.
Yeah.
Why do I want to see something disappear in 15 seconds?
Yeah.
You know, we're of a different.
Yeah.
I just feel like everything now, if you don't stay in the fold, it just passes you by.
It's too
you
fast.
feel antiquated.
Yeah, it moves too fast.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Hunter, what's yours?
Well, Mom kind of stole it from me, just like how I did in the last one, but I would definitely say golf. I mean, you can catch me on the course multiple times a week. Either that or traveling, which whenever I'm traveling, I also like to find a golf course. So
I'm sure there's got to be an app that's
there. I've got one.
Okay.
Golf Now.
Golf Now.
It's the best.
I mean, he got bit by it. I'll try to have conversations with him around dinner time. Like, son, let me tell you something. I need to talk to you a little bit. And I'll be having this in-depth kind of trying to pass the wisdom. And right while I'm talking to him, he'll start doing a golf swing.
Yeah.
Am
I boring you, man? I mean, he's got it like that. Like right in the middle of me giving him a lesson. He's
watch
just
the best of the best do it. That's what I want to see.
I mean, he started to waggle right in front of me. Dude, what the fuck are you doing, man?
This is so true. Hunter air swings.
This is a thing.
All the time. He's always air swinging when he talks to you.
And I'm kind of, when I dress my kids, I want you looking at me. I mean, I got something
yes,
for you.
sir. Just waiting on the lip.
Just kind of, and then all of a sudden this glaze comes over his face and he goes, I got to just stop talking or something. I don't know. It's the weirdest phenomenon.
That's awesome.
I wish it wasn't so true.
It's absolute fact, man.
It's so true.
You'll be ready for Pebble Beach and Augusta in no time.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Babe, what's your
I think
hobbies?
the last thing I just picked up is fishing. I started doing that like one of my sons.
Bass fishing?
Bass fishing.
Axe is a fisher, 13-year-old. He wants to be a fireman and a fisherman when he grows up.
Which I think is a great combo.
I do
I'm
too.
perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, he's very addicted. Like he
If you go up to the house, there's a paper plate on the table right now with fish hooks and lead weights sitting on it. I mean, the whole thing's covered with
he's organizing
his tackle. But he just
by
leaves it out there.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of like, this is where our...
I saw
There should
that
be
too.
nothing angry about a fishing episode, right? But he'll leave that...
So I have to tell a story myself. So is it Federated Bass League? What is the
FFA?
No,
No.
the FDFBL.
I don't know.
It's a big, whatever the big bass
Organization. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, so they're a supporter of K9s4cops, and the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, and they had
They just kicked the crap out of us the other day.
Oh, they did? Well, they had a big fishing tournament for us in Wabash. Is
that's
that
right.
Indiana?
No, in Minnesota.
Oh,
And it's
Minnesota.
where they filmed Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, yeah.
It's so, you would think, if you didn't know where you were, like you were in Aspen. It
Yeah.
was just so pretty, and it's there on the river. And well, I don't know a lot of football players. So they're all excited because certain people are, coming out, all the team. And so this guy comes in from ESPN, and we're in this, like a, indoor, outdoor type thing on the water, like a Sam's Boat type feel. And he said, ma'am, isn't this your organization? I said, yeah. He said, Mr. Moss is in the car. Okay. I don't, okay. Who?
Yeah.
Randy Moss. And I said, I don't know who that is. Does he need help getting in?
Yeah.
I'm thinking he must be like somebody's dad and he's really old.
Yeah.
He's not.
I know. Trust me, I got that. I caught crap the whole weekend.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I'm like, well, is he handicapped or something? He said, no, he's just sitting in the back of the car, and so people don't recognize him. How old is he? He said, I don't know, like 40. And he's afraid somebody's going to tell him to get his ass in the car. When they stop knowing his name is when he's going to be upset.
Yeah,
I don't know him
exactly.
from Adam. So a couple of guys walks in, one of them's him, and he goes, I heard you didn't know who I was. And I go, do you know who I am? And so we ended up going back and forth the whole week, and he ended up winning the tournament. He never fished.
Oh, how
and
funny.
so they did like a Calcutta, so they put you with a pro bass person, and I'm trying to
Like
think.
a pro-am.
Yes. Boom Boom is a friend of Fred Rubanis. He's won a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah.
I can't remember who everybody else did.
Yeah.
So this other guy, so that night we'd go to this bar. It's like a fishing deal, and they're all singing karaoke. There's kind of a big, heavy-set, ruddy face guy, and I said, I don't know if anybody's ever told me, but you're really good. Like, if you just, I don't want to say trim up, but if you just, like, if we could get you cleaned up, I bet you somebody would hire you to sing.
Oh, my gosh.
Chris Stapleton or somebody?
Luke Holmes.
Oh.
Yeah, even better. Yeah, even better.
But do you see, like, 11 at
You might
night?
be somebody. You never know.
Well, and I mean, I can introduce you. I mean, I know people.
Oh, my
He's
gosh.
like, you're so sweet. And
is so
his
funny.
cousin is a professional bass fisherman.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
if it gets any worse,
Yeah.
so the next day, Adrian Peterson and Randy Moss. So now we're all old buddies, and I don't know
Yeah.
anybody. So my friend Brian Robinson that lives here, he's a professional bass fisherman, but used to be for the Vikings. And he says, I just can't believe, he's talking to Adrian, I can't believe Zim came out. So I'm listening to him. He goes, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he leans over to Moss. He goes, did you see Zim came out? So I'm like, are there any? I didn't. Zim. All these people are like, I don't know who Zim is. And he said, I can't believe he actually came out. And I said, who? He said, Zimmerman. That's our coach. And I go, is he gay?
Oh, my gosh.
I thought he'd be like obligated. They would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That
so,
is so funny.
he goes,
Oh, my gosh.
no. But he goes, this is just giving us so much more ammunition.
Oh, my
I said,
gosh.
well, I didn't understand. I thought they'd be like obligated. He would come with it. They go, no.
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 Oh my
Couldn't
god.
what he came out doing.
Yeah, not out of the closet.
Yeah. And I said, I don't know much about football. They're like, you don't say.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting that.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But, somebody asked me, actually it was Police Commissioner Bill Bratton. They said, was your dad a cop, sheriff, or? Mm-hmm. So you had an uncle. Mm-mm. Why did you get in law enforcement? I said, to help. And he said, have you been bullied or? I don't think so. He just talked down to me. And I said, maybe so. I just don't know it or I don't pay attention. Mm-hmm. And he said, what's the secret? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, my little girl was raised in Montessori school. So when I started this, she was little. So they were so desperate to get dogs, some of the bigger departments. Mm-hmm. If I said, look, all I have is a poodle and it's pink, we'll take it. We'll take it. We don't care. Of course, when you start importing the ninja titled Navy SEAL worthy dogs, they're all like, I want that one. I want that one. Look at that one. He's got titanium teeth. I want that one. I want that one. He said, so how do you do it? And I said, I tell them crisscross applesauce. This is your work. Mm-hmm. You only support your neighbor. Because if I did that, they would haul me off in the back of a paddy wagon. I have 50,000 cops that work underneath me in New York. And I go, my gosh. You should try it. I go, it works for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're good at telling people like it is.
Well, it's just, I kind of thought when I started this 14 years ago that it would be a lot different, that everybody would say, oh, that is so wonderful that somebody wants to do something and help, you know, police or sheriffs. And then it went from K9s4cops to Sandy Hook happened. And so I watched, as that peeled down on, I had just arrived at the airport in Oklahoma City on like an 8 a.m. flight. And I saw all these people in front of the banks of TVs and they were crying. And I said, what's going on? They said a gunman came in to a school in Connecticut and shot it up. And they think that they're, all these children have been killed and they're kindergartners. Well, my little girl was that age at that time. So I went downstairs to get my luggage and I saw 2 officers. One was K9. He had a yellow lab and we were still fairly pretty new at that time. And so I always carry, some kind of coin, hat or something. And if they're working, I don't bother them. But if they're standing around, I'll walk over and say, hey, if you know about us or need anybody that needs help, just, we're on here. Just reach out to us and we'll take care of you. Well, I noticed as people started getting down to the, in Oklahoma, it's kind of like Hobby. It's a smaller airport. And those load-bearing beams that they have holding up the things by the conveyors, we couldn't see around them. But I noticed like everybody started looking at us, I felt like. And, this guy steps out from behind there to pick up his luggage and he's got on the full, can I say man jammies?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that really called though?
I don't know. I've always called it man jammies.
Oh, okay.
It's easier to say it that way. I don't know. Burka's for the ladies, and it's
Ja?
I didn't know there was going to be a test.
Well, no, but
Man jammies is good.
Yeah.
It's
okay,
universal.
but every pair of eyes, so we couldn't see him, but then we stepped out, and he goes, duty calls. Well, now I'm looking because we give a crazy amount of training. So how he approaches that person, that sets off the tone for the rest of, And it felt like there were 15 big rancher types in there that were like, scratch your nose. Just scratch your nose. It was obvious the tension that was in the room. Well, so when he walked over to talk to him, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I was trying to get close, and I thought, is this how I die? But I thought, the Taliban didn't really take layovers, and they don't take Southwest. I think I'm okay. And so he walks over and they visit for a minute. And as I see them shaking hands, I see he's got an Aggie ring on. And so I wait for, he shakes his hand and walks up. And you could collectively feel everything in the room just kind of settled down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I walked over to him and I said, I just like profiling. I'm just going to guess. He is visiting from Qatar maybe, and he's going to OU or OSU or teaching petroleum engineering or some type of engineering. He goes, do you know it? I said, no. But I saw he had an Aggie ring on. Mm. We're trained for things like that. I said everything.
Y'all sure I can spot them things a mile away.
Yeah. I said.
That Aggie ring's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you don't really go there for the diploma. You go there for that ring.
For the ring. And so I told him, I said, he was a good guy, right? And he goes, like, oh, very much so. Dr. So-and-so from, and you're right, he is teaching petroleum engineering. And I thought to myself, at that moment, we just gave that man more protection stepping on U.S. soil than we did all those kids that morning.
Yeah.
Just an hour before. Mm-hmm. So why are we not putting dogs in schools? Mm-hmm. Why, certain veterans, when they're coming back over, no offense, they don't want to be Mark Cuban, Jerry Jones. They want to keep serving and protecting. Why aren't we doing this?
Oh, well, the coolest lineup would be when those guys are getting out, that you have a school where every bus driver is SF.
Right.
And then the janitors. And then everybody in there that walks around that place. It's more protected than your bank.
Right.
I don't know why we do that. Humans by nature will protect your money over your friends and your family kind of deal. But you're right. And a lot of guys will do that. Let me tell you something about a lot of these veterans. They're real rich.
Right.
They got crazy money. I don't know how they got it, but they got it.
I mean,
and
nobody
then they get bored and they still want to go do something.
Aspiring to come back and, maybe they are. But for the most part, they want to keep serving.
They want to do something.
They want to do something.
That's why they usually get in a bad spot. They get bored.
Right.
They get stuck in their house or they get put on something. They won't let them work, and then they get stuck in the house, and then you go down that rabbit hole. But the schools are matter of fact, I don't know why we don't focus on our kids with everything. If we're having problems as adults and we can't figure something out, that means that we should probably just shift everything we got back to the kids and let the other stuff subside. So
you're saying that you think that not only the dog should be in there, but there should be someone special forces in there too. Yeah. I mean, I think.
Look, and I won't talk about certain situations with certain schools.
Yeah.
But there would be no backing down.
Yeah.
If they heard that, that.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could do that, if we could set that up where you could do it as part of your enlistment. Like, how some of the veterans get to go home and do recruiting duty? Mm-hmm. Like they get to
love that.
And they get to stay at the house. It's like a vacation, but it's not, right? Mm-hmm. So you get to go home to your hometown.
Because a lot of them have K9 experience, or at least they're not afraid of K9s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're around
but they
them
have
all the time.
K9 training, and that's like a specialty school.
Right.
So, they're their own little world. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's their own, just like SEALs and Green Berets, man, the dog handlers. They talk to each other in their own language. They got their own stuff. It's a thing.
So let that be like one of the actual post points is they get to go to a school.
It'd be a good detox too.
It would.
Remember, especially when we're
decompress.
Decompress for a little bit.
But you still feel like you're in the game.
Well, you are.
Well, of course you are.
Like we don't let you out. What's happening is we're decompressing you by letting you work back home. Mm-hmm. So and there's something to that. When I came home, I was a train wreck. Then it just took everybody around me to get me back. So that's the cool part. And I think if we do it like in moderations, as opposed to like, I just wait till the end till you're real messed up. Or like, no, every time you come back, man, we're going to send you home for a couple weeks. But you got to work your way back in. You got to work. And then putting you around your community is even better because then they know you.
Right. And it becomes the community relations. And kind of like it is with the dog. Mm-hmm. Like one of the schools, now we protect 2.5 million students a day in school.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got a half a dozen dogs at A&M. And so these are special, I call them mod dogs, mobile odor detection. So let's just say you come to the LSU game and it's a nighttime game and the day before you went duck hunting. You put on your Orvis jacket or whatever to come to the game. There's nothing in there, but you've got gunshot residue or that plume, that dog can follow that plume up to being 10 days to 2 weeks old and can follow it 2 miles.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
Like there's a dog breed for every kind of detection you want.
Absolutely. I've given
up into protection.
I gave Jared, the Subway guy.
Yeah.
Okay, remember he yeah. Well, so
he's a bad guy, right?
Very bad guy. Pedo. Short eyes. So they got it was on his jump drive. So I had a sheriff call me and said, I need one of those porn dogs. I said, I'm sorry? He said, a porn dog. I said, I don't know what that is. And he goes, what, the Subway guy? And I said, that's a lithium battery. In other words, it could be in all your family photos on there. The dog can't read. It's just sniffing out that.
Oh, like the battery
that he used to back up.
Oh
porn dog.
God.
I'm listening. Go ahead. Keep explaining. I just got, you got my attention. Now,
what the heck
are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Cell phone dogs. We've given.
The country folks, when they're trying to ask for something.
Yeah.
And they don't know, they just.
Yeah.
You throw it for what it looks like.
Porn
yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
And we've given arson dogs, but it's mostly going to be your narcotics and firearms.
So how did you get into this as far as knowing what kind of dogs to order? Take us back to the original.
So in 2010, I was at my ranch, and I still lived in Houston, and I turned on the TV, good old Channel 2 News, and they were doing a story on a guy that had lost his dog. And I came in halfway through the story and he was crying, and it showed this beautiful dog. And I had just told my then husband, I said, look, our daughter is at the age, that 3.5, that whatever we do, she's going to emulate that going forward. How much kindness you show, how much giving back at Thanksgiving. Do we go to take meals? She's soaking, that's at that age where she's soaking it all up. And literally the day before Christmas, he goes, what do you want for Christmas? I said, you got 364 days to figure it out. I don't know. And I'm the kind of person, don't go buy me earrings. Don't go write me a letter. Or get, the George Bush's book of letters that he wrote. I love that. Reagan's, I just eat that up.
He does that for me.
Yeah. I save all those kind of letters. And to me, that someone gives you your time, that's just one of the most precious things that somebody can give you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I'll just go pick up our earrings. Well, as I turned it on, and I'm bitching about non-set earrings, I was like, I wonder what happened to that man. And so I'm looking around online. I can't find anything. Well, there was some guys that were breaking into somewhere like Kingwood-ish, and they would go into these patio homes on a golf course, and they would wait for the people to leave, and they would go in and steal their presents. So it was like a half a dozen of them. So they had them circled off, and so they went in, and he sent the dog, and they killed the dog. So his boss comes out, he's just got an empty leash, and the dog did what he was supposed to do. He was trying to call the dog off, but the helicopter for the news was overhead, and he just couldn't get the dog to listen. He was worried about his dog more than the guys. They knew he had a thing on that said K9. The guy's like, oh, we didn't know. There's 100 cops surrounding you in a helicopter and a dog bit. So they killed it. And I started calling around, just like, I don't know anybody in law enforcement, but this is what I want for Christmas. I said, I think it's like $1,000. It's not. But I ended up calling that night Rick and Anita, because I didn't know, who do you call? Is this he said, well, what department was it? And I was like, he had a Navy with a bronze. No, I think it was silver badge. And he goes, well, that narrows it down. So then he had his chief of staff call me back, and he goes, okay, let's figure out. He said, we found out which department it was, and precinct 4 in Harris County. He goes, they have lots of money. He said, why don't you pick a place that needs a dog and just give one there? And I said, wait, I've never heard of any department, I'm not even in that business, saying that they have too much money.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett needs money to invest. So, I mean, that just seems crazy to me. So I went to Lowe's. I got some maps with thumb deals, and I didn't sleep for 3 days. And the red ones were departments that had been for 5 years trying to raise money, bake sales, car washes. And, you know, I had them all like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And in my hometown where I grew up in Brazoria County, they didn't even have a dog. And it's just like, wait, why is this in such high demand? There was not a charity in the world that gave the dogs, the training, the everything to the agency.
They usually broke up.
And so I was like, you know what? Even if we just satisfied what is in our area, well, within 3 or 4 months, I think I was already in Dubuque, Iowa. And then now we're in 40 states in Europe.
My gosh.
And we have one in Africa. And we have removed $8 billion in contraband.
Oh my gosh.
And over 200,000 felony arrests and over 150,000 weapons.
Oh my gosh.
That money ought to go back to the department.
Well, a lot of it,
You know what I mean?
none of it goes back to us.
No. I'm not talking about just in generality. I think about that a lot. It's like when they,
So
the police when they do those captures, like the Lamborghinis and those all got to auction, that money needs to go back to that department.
Well, so how it works, and I don't know. Do you guys know Randy Tooman? He's the guy on I-10 that he's always in the news, and he takes everybody down, and you know, shaped like a superhero, and he's one of those ghost cars, and he has taken by himself, just he and his dog, over $1 billion.
My gosh.
He had a bust maybe a month ago. It was $130 million in raw fentanyl.
What?
That needs to be an enemy of the state.
Huh?
That stuff needs to be enemy of the state.
It is a terrorist. So when I have got this whole PhD now, so when we get it and it's coming over, let's say if it's a load of cocaine, it has a brand on it. Yeah. So you may see it. It may look like the King Ranch brand or the Flying or the Lazy J.
Yeah.
And that's how you know which cartel you're dealing with.
Yeah, they're overt now. They don't care.
They do not care.
Lazy
do you
J
remember
does
when
not
we were
have
little, growing up, like you'd flash your light?
Yeah.
In other words, it was like a snake. You don't mess with it, they don't mess with you.
Yeah.
No, it's not that way.
Stay out of their business. Yeah. No, it's it's melted over.
And, you know, just last week, the head of the Gulf Coast cartel got out of prison. OCL. He's been in there for 25 years.
My gosh.
No one's talking about it.
That is nuts.
This is a supply and demand thing.
I have never had 1 red cent of funding from the government.
So where do you get your dogs from?
Europe.
You do get them from Europe? So you found a dog handler, breeder, somebody?
So what I do is I have 16 vendors that are bonded and vetted. So they're all over the United States. So if we have somebody in New York and they say, you know, look, we can't go that far. Okay. We have a vendor in upstate New York. We have them in Alabama, Texas. We also use Adlerhorst in Southern California, which is where the Navy gets their dogs from. We have somebody in Northern California, Wisconsin, North Carolina, you name it, to make it convenient for them. So when they go, we have to make sure that there is, for every person we're sending, that they have at least a half a dozen dogs to choose from. And that makes it so much better when you get to these bigger, you know, I get sometimes people will call me and will say, you know, my brother-in-law learned to train pit bulls in prison and he's really good.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure he is, but he doesn't carry the kind of insurance, you know, the things that we need. And if that dog washed out, what else does he have to show me?
Right.
You know, so we want them to have an experience. This isn't Sanford & Son. This is like for them going to Neiman's. It's a whole red carpet. Yeah. You get there and if you need help, I mean, they're there helping you for sure, but we will even send people up like, from HPD and things, say, this is what everybody wants, the porterhouse when they start. And I'll say, look at their little rocket pocket over here. She's in 45 pounds, but boy, she's, on it. No.
That's usually a handler's problem.
Yeah.
That's an
and
ego
then they'll bring it back
thing.
in 10 days and go, it's just too much dog. And I said, you want the one that makes you look good. And don't be afraid of the one that's seasoned. In other words, if it's 3, she's got 3 years in front of you.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, I say the canine handlers were kind of like special teams when I started.
Yeah.
Like the punter or the whatever. And it's like, oh, the dog guy's here. But now we've kind of built them
It's changed.
Yeah, where we've made them were their own little superheroes.
That's what it was for us too.
Yeah.
When they first came, they had their own tent.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even stay with us. Matter of fact, they were kind of what are you? Mm-hmm. And then the more we use them, because now they're initial. Like when you think about it from my perspective too, and from the guys my age, it makes more sense for you to send them suckers in first before we go in.
Right.
Back in the day when we were young, it was like, we'll go in first. We want to see what's in there. And I don't know why we did it like that, but we just did. But it was a slow process. But that was a thing though, for sure.
Yeah, but Chesney's dog, Cairo. Cairo had done, you know more than me, but a lot of
War
missions.
hero.
Huh?
Cairo?
Yeah.
War hero?
Yeah, but what wasn't on the Captain Phillips still too? Mm-hmm. I mean, in other words, been shot, stabbed, everything goes and
blown up.
That dog was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's some good ones. You know their names too. They're synonymous with some of the stuff they do.
I've had more people come up to me, hey, I'm going to clone. That has nothing to do with the dog. But they all think they have the inside.
Yeah.
I'm going to clone that dog. Would you like some, dog?
I actually met somebody one time that loved their chocolate lab, like the best dog, the best hunting dog, best companion. And they spent the money to have it cloned. And it ended up being the biggest shitbag dog. Like the clone, it looked just like the previous dog, but it ended up being an awful.
I think with your dogs, you get
awful dog.
Yeah,
you get that one kind of deal.
I'm working with a Navy SEAL trainer. He was in Iowa. Now he's relocated to Texas. His name is Joshua Morton.
I don't know.
And my friend Wobig introduced me to him. And I got to tell you, it's been it's a really, I know some SEALs, and it's like when you know them and your friends and this like that, you kind of go in like, okay, we know the same people. And I had talked to him on the phone, and I said, I really want to talk to you about your dogs and, because I know their standards are really high level of training. And he goes, can I call you back? I said, sure. I waited and waited and waited 6 months, and I would set my alarm. I don't know what it was. He wanted nothing to do with me. So I would call my friend Wobig back, and I was like, hey, look, this guy is like, he goes, just give him grace. I promise. Just give him grace. So we laugh about it now. It took me about 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
To finally, I was like, but now,
some of my guys takes a while to warm up.
It does. He was just.
They're a little standoff. They can be a little standoffish,
He is off the grid.
Yeah. I got some guys like that.
Funny.
So we went to Iowa, and I called him, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. I told you I wasn't going to give up easy. I said, I want to come see your operation. Well, how far did we go? We went down to see his It was crazy hot that day. And of course, I'm just convinced it must be like flashback to Buds that they try to do things just to see. It was a test to see how uncomfortable we can make this lady.
All right, quick announcement for all my fellow renters out there. If you're not using Built, then you're missing out. Imagine earning points just by paying rent, one of your biggest monthly expenses. Built makes it happen. No need to call your landlord or make any changes. You simply just pay through Built and start racking up those valuable points. And with Built, those points can be used towards flights, hotels, fitness classes, and even future rent payments. And if you love to travel like I do, you'll appreciate being able to transfer those points to over 500 airlines and over 700,000 hotels worldwide. So if you're already paying rent, why not earn points while doing it? It costs nothing to join and gets you a lot more than just a roof over your head. Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/TNQ. That's joinbilt.com/TNQ. Make sure to use the URL in our bio so they know that we sent you over. That's joinbuilt.com/TNQ to start earning points on your rent payments today.
So you're in this cinder-blocked barn, zero air flow, and he's blowing hot air in there. There's wasp. I've been stung all over, and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm great. Not a complaint in the world. Love being here." So he's showing us around. So he goes, "Hey, I bought these old abandoned houses in town. I want to show you what all I'm doing." Well, we get to this house is probably 120 years old. It should be dilapidated. And like something out of a scary movie, but you realize the house is 2 or 3 times as big when you get down in it. They're big on basements and all this under crawl space. So we're down in the floor, the base of this house, and now the crawl spaces. So he's got this little flashlight. There's no power. And he goes, "Get up and crawl in there."
No,
and I'm thinking, my pistol's in the car, my phone is in the car, everything. I was like,
Pull some Blair Witch stuff on you.
Yeah, total Blair Witch.
Like, no.
Hey, look at that corner back there.
You send your dog to do it. I'm not doing it.
Isn't this what the dog's for?
But he had some dogs that he cloned.
Oh my gosh.
And he is working closely with Viagent. And we saw a couple of them. They were been put in police departments. A couple of them, he said weren't up to his par. He was just going to keep them as personal pets. But he's working closely. And I had no idea. And I said, "What do you think is the difference?" Because to me, you can't duplicate heart.
Yeah, they can only duplicate looks.
And I've always heard that about cloning. Is like, no, it's not what we think it is. It's just the outer side. The outside gets done.
And he said they screwed up the formula. They bred a puppy instead of the mature one.
Well, they cloned a puppy instead of cloning a mature dog.
Yeah. Well, because remember David Eller that did Dolly the sheep, the first.
Yes, and he's chairman of A&M.
Yeah, the first they actually did a lot of that research at our ranch, which used to be theirs. It's a crazy story, but we learned from that research that they can only clone by look, not by personality or anything. So why would they continue to try it?
I don't know. I mean, I could see for if you were trying to develop for heart
stuff,
because what is it, a hog heart's the closest to a human?
Yeah, anatomically.
Yeah.
But think about how many feelings and emotions are bred out of the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it has more receptors in the brain, going up to the brain.
Right.
That's why it feels things that the mind doesn't even know, the body can't even compute.
Right.
Love, all that comes from this. You pull that out of somebody and put something else in there, it's going to change them completely. That completely change the way they act and the way they feel when you put a different ticker in there. And that's a fact. So when you're talking about the big hearts and then the robotic ones, like, man, you turn them into, they ain't got no, you took something out of them. Yeah, our medical technology, and a lot of it's curiosity.
It is.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So are the kinds of dogs that you're doing, are they all the Belgian Malinois?
It differs. Like we have a, what is it, a Springer Spaniel at A&M. They're really good. A lot of times the schools...
Well, they love that.
They do. They want a single purpose. They don't want one. Any dog can bite. But, they want that friendly approach.
Yeah.
Not that we're here to
That's just like
intimidate.
any human can hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta
Not
train
to
them.
intimidate anybody.
Do you do a lot with labs?
I do.
Yeah.
And, of course, everybody loves a lab.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
Labs are just...
Right.
So speaking of, ours is usually in here, but
She's at the
Tuesday
grandma.
is doggy spa day, and...
She's spoiled.
She's
Freaking, I spoiled this one.
Rigby?
No, Rigby died a
passed
few
on
years
me.
ago.
That's okay.
It's okay. And so we got another white lab.
I have a white lab and 14, and her name is Josie.
Oh,
that's good.
So we have Eden.
Eden, she's 3, and then Southeastern gave me another one named Ranger.
He's black.
He's black. It's a great dog. I mean, they're the best dog come out of that freaking academy, man.
Mm-hmm. But they're awesome. Like Rigby was so well trained through Southeastern Guide
Dogs.
Dogs.
A little different story altogether.
That he wouldn't ever bark. Like that was his thing. Like the only time I ever heard him bark was
We're fishing.
At fishing when you're casting.
He loved to fish.
He
was driving crazy. I mean,
that and would start barking. But if like a stranger came to the house, no, he would never bark or anything.
Never, not a freaking. And matter of fact, when we were traveling, she used to get mad at people when they would bring their, because if you hear a dog barking in the airport, that's not a service canine.
Yeah,
they don't do that. They're
it's
literally a professional dog.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, you can tell the difference immediately.
They abuse it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, humans, we do that, right? So I mean, but when you see a real one, and that Rigby was, Mr. He was the finest canine. I still mourn his death, man. He freaking guy.
But anyway, our labs now, Eden, she will bark when someone's coming up to the house to let us know, and she has this super deep
pulls it from the tail.
Yeah, like she is letting whoever's coming up know you will not mess with this family. Will she do anything? Probably not, but
that's a deterrent.
Yeah, it's a deterrent.
They don't know that.
Yeah,
whoever's coming up driveway doesn't know that.
Yeah,
and I tell people just get a dog that's going to forewarn you.
Yeah,
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, if I can take care of the rest of it.
Yeah.
If I'm asleep and I don't know and you warn me, I'll handle it from here.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, your driveway is like ours. We're like 2 miles long. If somebody can come in and they even know where to go in the middle of the night, be ready for them.
We're ready. Yeah. I know. But the dogs, all the dogs have different purposes, but one of the biggest purposes is just to be your protector, even if that doesn't mean biting them or, doing an attack style, just that like deep bark.
That's a natural love that comes from their handler. And when they put them together, they'll do that naturally.
So my daughter had a Daisy, and we got her at 5, and she'd been on David Letterman, had been on The View. I'm convinced she could give this dog an enema with 1,000 Legos. She wouldn't be thrilled about it, but when it came to turn on, and you talk to her in her language, she could flip a 300-pound man. It's just such a great feeling knowing, because everybody thinks, child abuse or molestation, that they're going to grab your kid and they're going to take them. That would be a worst case scenario. But a lot of times you're out and about, you're shopping, you're maybe at a fair or an event. It's somebody just coming by, touching. Maybe they're just trying to cop a feel. Or, you're at a park and just, it only takes 2 seconds to get away. Well, that dog stayed with her. It was Velcro.
Yeah.
And, she had her whole jump leash thing on it, all of her stuff. And, it was absolutely. And so we'd have little friends that would say, okay, we won't tell anybody. What's the word to make her bite?
That's her favorite thing. Hey, what's
I'm just so convinced that you could have said washing machine to her. She automatically knew if somebody wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And it was just, but dogs like that, because usually the Belgian Malinois are real high strung. And, it's really hard to, they're hard for them to be family pets.
Yeah.
Because unless you have a big place like this for them to run around.
It's not really their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't hold that against them, man.
No. And they're so smart.
You had a big German Shepherd, though, didn't you?
I did. Big German Shepherd.
Yeah.
He finally passed on. He was my Rose Bowl float.
Freaking beautiful, man. I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah. And I can still remember, gosh, it has to be, I don't think, maybe Daisy and Rigby were both white. Okay.
White.
I was in Neiman Marcus trying some stuff on, and the lady comes back and she said, there's some men lingering on the floor. Okay.
Men?
Up the second floor, the ladies' lounge area. And she goes, well, one of them has on Middle Eastern stuff. And I'm like, and you think I know them?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get dressed back here. And so she's like, I don't know. So I walk out and I see Marcus.
Oh,
and
how funny. Gulab. Yeah.
I could not remember his name. Of course, I guess he doesn't really speak English.
Yeah.
He sees me walk through the deal and he's just following. So I guess he grabs you, come over, and you're like, oh, you're following Kristi?
When he got here for the first time from Afghanistan, I took him straight to America stuff.
Yeah. Neiman.
Yeah.
Had to go to the mall.
You can just see him walking around. And
their women don't look like ours.
No.
They don't act like ours. They don't they don't dress like my women
I'm a
here.
little shinier probably than what you're used to.
Yeah.
And he's like just smiling, like he had no clue what I was saying.
Oh my gosh.
I thought about that a lot. If it was reversed and I was coming to America for the first time and was looking at everything, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Just how everything's progressed so much. And
I mean, you go back there, there's nothing.
No.
There's no electricity. I mean, they sleep on the ground in some of the villages. I mean, you want to talk about thrusting forward to the future.
And they're happy?
And oh yeah, completely happy. Village lifestyle. And then you bring them over here and see what we have.
Right.
It's unbelievable. You truly can go back in time.
Yeah.
Because there's a time remnant for every civilization that has ever been here, still around usually.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
and
we
people are
completely
living
decimated
in it.
them.
Right.
Yeah, you can find them.
Yeah.
You want to go back in time, it's easy. Just where do you want to go?
Like when you go to some other countries, let's say like Ecuador, perfect example, you'll see, or Mexico City, you'll see so much wealth. And then literally you'll see a thatch hut.
It's crazy, right?
That they're draining a pig or something.
Yeah.
They've got babies, newborns on their back and to the front, and they're weaving something and the blood's just coming right down between their legs.
It's like that in Iraq too. You're either wealthy or you're
Right.
not.
Right.
It's crazy.
And it just goes to show you that we are so blessed to live in this country.
We are.
It is the finest country in the world.
Yeah. That was one of the things when Hunter graduated high school, we went on a mission trip to Uganda, and we went to like way out, nowhere near a city, and we witnessed people living literally just off the ground in mud huts and going to the bathroom. We had to go to the bathroom in little holes in the ground. And everybody was so happy. They didn't have anything. No monetary value, anything. But they were just very genuinely happy people. They were happy to greet visitors. But it just shows you how much we take for granted. And
when we were coming back that day from going to see in Iowa the Navy SEALs dogs, we were coming back through where we saw the Amish people. There was 3 children. I took a picture of them, 5, 7, and maybe 10, and like a little doctor's buggy, and they're going along with their, little kids. Like, we wouldn't have felt comfortable letting ours run down the road. And here they are. And I said, look, they have no vaccine. They're not even wearing shoes. In the summer, they don't wear shoes. They just wear their dresses. And I said, and they have no TV, no media. And they're thriving.
Yeah.
Those Amish towns are beautiful.
They
Gorgeous.
are
Clean. I mean, I actually took pictures. I was like, what, you ain't gonna believe this place, man.
I did too. And then they asked me to put them away.
Yeah, man, I adopted one. I'm like, I'm coming back here.
He never takes pictures of anything. He could care less about a photo. And he went to speak, it was in an Amish town.
They brought me in.
Yeah,
I love it.
And he spoke to the town, and he was sending me pictures, and it doesn't matter. He's been to some amazing places, and he's never sent me a photo from any of them. And then all of a sudden, he's in Amish world, and he's sending me all these photos. He's like, look at this barn, look at this,
Chris,
look at this.
When that first joke came burning past me in one of them buggies all drecked out, I was like, what's up? And they had barbecue, and I mean, it was a beautiful day. The grass is, perfect looking, and really nice.
So nice.
Freaking nice, man. I'm like, is this America? This is America, right?
He came home with fresh baked cookies.
They loaded me up.
They loaded him up.
I still talk to him. It's the Miller family, man. I was like, dang, I'm keeping in touch.
Amazing craftsmen.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They were so nice to Marcus, and he just has ranted and raved about how much he loves them.
Now, where was
freaking
that?
love the Amish,
Indiana?
man.
Where?
Indiana.
Indiana. There's
Yeah.
a huge one there.
It was on the border of Indiana and Michigan. Because I remember when he was sending me pictures, I'm like, where the heck is he? And I looked at the address and I pulled it up on the map just to see like where he was because it was so pretty. It looked like a movie set.
Right.
Like
And-
Silvertown out of Joe Dirt, just kind of like
But,
magical.
I'm taking all these pictures, and one of the little girls, she looked about 10, she said, can I ask you, please refrain from taking pictures? And I go, oh, I'm so sorry. And I put the phone down. I looked at her and I said, should I erase the other 12,000?
Yeah, right. Too late.
I'm just so impressed with them.
Yeah.
I mean, just you could tell those kids, their level of responsibility, their
Yeah.
level of maturity.
Hey, we did that. I got to take some photos of some of them, and they walked the young ones up around me, and when
Right.
I rolled up on them, they're built like brick houses.
Right.
And I mean, none of the stuff that we use here to get that done. I mean, you could feel it. Their traps stand up under their shirt. I'm like, dang, man.
The things that impress Marcus.
Oh, it's impressive.
Well, when you walk in and you see if one of them has one light hanging, that's a state of the art deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done by candlelight, or the pastries and the goodies that they're making. My God, you'd think you were at some New York 5-star. I mean, really, that everything is homemade. The pies all flake, and they're all hand done, and everything, and their quilts.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with their ponies, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they make those surreys and their buggies themselves, and
Yeah.
they're
That's crazy.
and I am just completely obsessed.
And I can't put together a furniture piece that comes from
I
Amazon.
was like, hey, it's funny to watch the young ones coming up, too, because one of those buggies rolled past me, had a little bit of neon underneath it, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's how it starts.
yeah, that's the gateway. That's the
They
gateway.
go put some rims on that thing next,
Funny.
What is it called when they rest
No, Rumspringer.
Rumspringer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I wasn't out there for that.
I've caught a couple of these shows. Like, I think they get like a window.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just gonna say 6 months after they're 18.
18, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You either fly, swim, sit,
Yeah.
stay.
Yeah.
But this is your only
How about that?
chance.
And they do that. I mean, that's a thing. Like as soon as
And
they,
if
well, I don't know what
you-
age it is, but they send them out.
It's right after adult,
Yeah.
whatever. But if
Like
you
high school,
spring
yeah.
the farm,
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Some of them don't make it back.
yeah.
They
And
can't taste that Americana.
it just blows me away
my
that
God.
that's still sustainable and that they do it so well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love the Amish. I wanted to go meet Amish when we were in Pennsylvania.
She wanted me to snatch one.
Yeah,
Marcus,
that's
She's like, hey, go get an Amish gift first.
Marcus drive me all around
Looking for
this
one.
town that was supposed to be like all Amish. We didn't see one damn one.
And their barns, they have like these hexagons.
One, I mean, like we were deer hunting or something. You know what I mean? Like, you're out there looking for Amish. All I saw was some New Yorkers. I was pretty upset about it.
Well, then we go to the airport, and they're in the airport.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there you go. I went to your town looking for you all over. I just wanted
Now,
to
a couple of them, like maybe they'll have one, like a party line
Uh-huh.
or something that, like for emergencies, or maybe one cell phone that they
Yeah.
all,
And it flips.
Yeah.
He broke that sucker out of me.
The flip
Switchblade.
phone.
you're like,
I couldn't believe. Like,
Smithsonian hadn't.
Yeah.
what is that? He goes, still works too. Can't. That's what he said to me. I was like, okay, bro.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they were great.
Oh my gosh.
But again, no media,
Yeah.
they're thriving.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah. The media.
Oh, they handle their business.
Right.
They freaking handle their business.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about the K9s for Care.
Okay, K9s for Care.
Yeah.
We just announced it this year. So I was really sick during COVID. Didn't realize I'd had 6 strokes, and 5 in the carotid and 1 on the brainstem. And just kept dropping things, couldn't get words out. I mean, just crazy things but you didn't think. I mean, I've never smoked. I'm not a drinker. I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I have a PFO, which is like a hole in your heart, like a murmur that never grew up. And so it becomes, it has no, like the rest of me, it has no rhythm. It's white.
Dwight, you got to catch that.
Rhythm. So it just kind of flops around. Well, didn't realize all this was happening. And so these headaches were so bad. So to go in and see my neurologist, he's like, you're going to need a scan from an MRI. Well, I'm not going to do that because there's really sick people in there. They don't need to mess with me. I'll just wait till after COVID's over. Well, a friend of ours is the orthopedic for the A&M team, Dr. Bramhall, and he said, hey, just come in tomorrow morning. We don't have until 8. Come in right after 7. I'll have a tech here. We'll run you through and I'll just give you the disc and you can take it to the med center. Sounds great. So as I'm 30 minutes, do the deal, come back and I'm trying to get dressed, and he opens the door and he just looks white. And he said, you need to come in my office. We had one of those big white boxes, and I just kept seeing, like about size of avocados, these bruises. And I thought, oh my God, I've got a brain tumor. And he said, no. I said, okay.
Those aren't your scans, I'm sorry. Something like that, like, dude.
And at the time, my shirt, it was 4 buttons off. So like everything, it would just take me forever. And he said, you've had strokes. And I was like strokes, like old people's strokes? No. I mean, just no way. I mean, because there's just no way. And he said, well, I'm telling you that you have. And so take this and go see your doctor right now. So I go to, my doctor says, meet me at Methodist. We have to check you in. And it's a Friday through the ER side. And I just kept saying, well, I think that this is the opening, but I'm supposed to be up at the Fondren 12.
Oh my gosh.
The Fondren 12, and I don't know. But I think I have to register to this side. Well, by now, I'm a little bit delirious because I realize I've had strokes. It's starting to make sense, everything. But I'm back there by myself. I'm on a gurney for 14 hours. And I realize at this point that there are people living in the ER, like mental health cases. So
and I forgot when you had to do that, when you were doing that 14 hours on, I forgot about that story.
Yeah. So I am firing off a letter to the CEO of Methodist. This is the finest medical center, in the world. People are on it. This is the flagship hospital, and you've let it run to shit.
Oh my gosh.
I am so scared. I'm thinking, this is going to be my last thing ever. I'm going to be dead in a few hours anyway. I saw this cute little petite nurse. She's got a whole vial with like the 20 vials. She's trying to gather it up to get them all to a lab. A guy comes and shoves her, and he's got some kind of wonky Superman outfit on, no shoes, and he pushes her in blood, and it just goes everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
He's starting to beat her up. A Houston fireman grabs him, pulls him out. Then somebody else comes in some other weird outfit. And it's just, you realized these nurses and doctors are all like working double. They're working crazy hours, like I said, the height of COVID. And in June of 21. And I just thought, gosh, I mean, thank God that fireman was here, but he's in fire gear. Surely he doesn't like protect wearing that. I'm trying to figure out what everything is. And so it just so happened, a friend of mine for many years works for this big healthcare company. She's telling her CEO in New York about what we do. And he said, I lost my sister to fentanyl. And he had a stroke really young. He was a mountain climber, or Kilimanjaro type thing. And I said, well, mine wasn't from that. He said, but I have a hole in my heart too. We connected over that. He said, I'm getting my doctorate in nursing, and he and his wife own this company, and they service about 400 to 500 hospitals and for nursing staff. And he said, this is just going to be an upsell for us. In other words, do y'all want this? Do you want this? And he said, a dog, when it comes in, whether it's to protect, people will think twice about messing with our nurses or even doctors, or, not every, if a petite woman is in there she can easily be overpowered and hurt.
Well, she's not in there for that either.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest misconception, is like, even if you were capable of it, a lot of times the environment you're in that help mode.
Right.
And then somebody comes in and attacks. I got a special place in hell for them people.
Well,
anybody who hurts any of the nurses and the nurse practitioners, them.
Right. And
they're the ones that put everybody,
fighting.
not the doctors. They're special,
heroes.
but they're freaking nurses, man. They're the ones that patch you up.
Absolutely.
Make you feel good. The ones that talk to you, come and see you. The doctor's in there, he does his deal, he gets home, man. But
and these nurses were just crying. They were trying to hold it together for the rest of the patients. But now patients are getting scared. Are we not safe? And the only thing you have is a little wraparound, curtains. And so when he said, we want to do this, but offer it to all of our hospitals, K9s for Care. And I was like, gosh, that's brilliant. I mean, absolutely. And it just makes sense. Or if a child or somebody is getting an IV and they're scared.
That's a calming thing.
That a dog.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It'll intimidate an adult, but it'll make a child feel completely at peace.
My 35-year-old sister, and I know she won't mind me saying this because it's so true, she hates needles. Like, I still go with her to the doctor's office to hold her hand and look her in the eye and be like, it's okay, you can take this shot or you can get the IV or whatever. She hates needles, but if there was a dog in there, she would be totally fine.
There's nothing more peaceful than walking in there and you see a nurse dressed up in her scrubs and Scooby-Doos and Yodas. I mean, there should be no violence in there.
No violence. They're there trying to make it better.
That should be taught in schools. Right. Look, hey, I don't care. Starting in grade school from kindergarten. You ever walk into that building, your mouth shut, just tell them what they want to do.
When do you think it started to go south? Because I know that I can remember policemen coming into our elementary school.
The firefighters came in. Yep, McGruff, all of them.
Bring the truck and say, if you're ever lost or you can't find your parents, you always find somebody that looks like this. Yep. And then I have thought about this for so many years, but I think it's when that movie Cops came out that things started changing. We started learning about the Crips and the Bloods and that there was...
Colors.
Colors.
Colors. You're talking about colors. That sure did. That changed all of us.
That changed
all of us.
And that's when all of a sudden a cop pulls up in the parking lot and they scatter like cockroaches to a Q-beam. I mean, why? We
weren't taught like that.
Yeah. We didn't think like that before that movie.
What year was that?
Early 80s.
Yeah, late, yeah.
Probably. I want to say maybe Sean Penn was in it.
He was? He sure was.
I can't remember.
89.
Oh.
So is this gentleman right?
No, look at Colors.
Robert Duvall?
Yes.
And 9/11, things changed 9/11.
Yes.
Like we stopped because we became adults immediately. All that McGruff and all that stuff, and the cops, the firefighters would sit in there on stages and teach us, and like systematically from grade school. So you're conditioned. You're not just trained; you're conditioned.
Right, you're conditioned.
And I think when 9/11, when we actually had to grow up in the new, everything was terrorist. Hey, this is kind of overlooked all that simple stuff.
None of us knew what any of that was. Now look, I can remember being like first or second grade and remembering all the hostages in Iran and the yellow ribbon.
Yeah.
But we still didn't know about terrorists. I mean, nobody talked. In other words, somebody grabbed these people that they shouldn't have had, and every day, remember, it's like 91 days, and you're supposed to tie the ribbon around your tree.
I remember that.
And
I remember my grandma like going around, and I was just sitting in the car, and she's tying yellow ribbons around.
We've had to deal with it our whole lives. Our generation.
Right. Yeah. Our generation.
I don't even know. I didn't even know why she was tying the yellow ribbon, but I remember the yellow ribbon
waiting for them to come home.
Yeah.
Okay, I just realized that.
I think it was our government didn't go get them. It was Oscar Wyatt and John Conley that had been our governor. They got on Oscar's plane and flew in, and he's like, I'm not afraid of a damn thing.
My gosh.
And he flew in and got him. And he told the story on his turn, but he had all this Lone Star beer iced down in his plane. He flew like a DC-10 or something.
Oh my
gosh. And went over there and loaded up everybody and brought him back.
Cold
How
beer.
did we repay him? We sent him to prison.
Oh my gosh.
For the food for oil.
That's crazy.
But yes, we have been, and remember the Ayatollah. That was the first terrorist I ever remember was, people making fun of the Ayatollah.
Khomeini.
I remember the terrorists that took over that airplane and they sat on the tarmac forever. I don't even remember where that was,
Late
but
70s?
I remember seeing it on the news, like the terrorists had taken
It all started
over
over
an
the
airport.
Beirut in 82 and 85, and then it was just the planes after a while. And
then in the early 90s, in the first... I don't really remember that one as much. The early 90s.
And when at the towers?
I don't remember that at all. I didn't even know about that until I went to the 9/11 museum and I saw
They tried to take those things down for a while.
Yeah.
I think to graduate high school, you should be required to go to the D-Day Museum. I guess it's the World War II Museum now.
Yeah.
And I always say you should be required to read your book. These are just things I don't feel like the kids, unless they have parents that are involved, know enough about, when you see a World War II hero and he's there greeting you at the front, I could just be in there for a solid week.
Yeah.
See everything 10 times. Of course, I couldn't.
Are you talking about the one in New Orleans?
Yes.
I love that.
Oh.
I love it.
They did a great job on that one.
Love it.
They did an
That's a little hidden gem, too, man. You
So
didn't know
it
about
is.
that unless you wander in there.
So I was living there when that opened, I guess in about 2000. And I remember Tom Hanks came in, and a friend of mine, Boise Bollinger, was the chairman of it. And I got to go to the airport to pick up Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. And he was a Buffalo Soldier.
Oh, wow.
And he educated me of what the whole Buffalo Soldier situation was. And they just did it. They brought in, so there's people that do nothing but, architects to design these type of things. So the way they were able to get, this is pre-AI, to get voices off, to retell the stories. And the mortar shells going.
The ceiling.
Yes.
The dog tags?
Yes. It's amazing.
Even when you go into the Battle of the Bulge,
Yes.
I believe it's the Battle of the Bulge one when it's snowing, like the white flakes are coming down when you're walking through and it's super cold. They have the air
and the
going
Jeeps
through.
are right there.
Right in the deal.
Yes. It's really cool. It's like they mixed Disney World with...
War.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, with the war, so you can feel what it's like.
I feel like that's how the younger generation, and we learn that way. We were talking about this the other day. You know how much you learn from watching movies, like especially if it captures you. If you put history in there and teach it like that, that's people get on to us like, how do you remember all those movie lines? How do you remember those names? It was like because when they were delivered to me, it was either entertaining or impactful, and it hit me that way. And that's how I kind of learned.
You know way too many. Movie
Okay, there's a lot of weird stuff cropped up in here and got stuck, but that's a conversation for another time.
I was not either.
Well, I have to tell you, I was having a baby, and in 2006, and I'm a big news watcher, like all the time. But the last 3 or 4 months of my pregnancy, I spent in bed rest in the hospital. I had no TV, no nothing.
You hear that? That's the sweet sound of another sale coming in. And let me tell you, it never gets old. Our online store runs fully on Shopify, and let me tell you, it has been a complete game changer. Back when we first started, we needed to make selling simple and seamless, and Shopify delivered big time. With Shopify, we have the world's best checkout system backing us up. Our online store runs smoother, converts better, and reaches customers wherever they are. From online to in-store, it's all about giving you the tools that you need to grow, just like it's done for us. Plus, with features like Shop Pay that boost conversions, we're seeing more completed sales and fewer abandoned carts. It's intuitive, powerful, and always delivers. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we use with Shopify. So if you want to hear those cha-chings more often, start with your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/TNQ. That's shopify.com/TNQ. Trust me, it will change your business.
So I missed everything that happened, in June, Marcus. So now, was it a year later? When did your book come out?
Well, his thing happened in 2005, and the book came out in 2006.
6.
I mean, 7.
7.
Because I was still in.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.
So I remember, who was it? The Mossbackers called and said, we're going to have this event. at Rogue.
God, I hadn't heard that name in a minute.
I know. We want you to be our guest. I'm like, okay. And they said, why don't you just like invite some of your friends? And okay. So I called Joanne Herring Davis, and I said, "Oh,
love that woman.
Love
My wife
her.
loves that woman. I actually got a chance to meet her.
So, well, no, you met her that day.
Yeah.
But I took Marcus didn't realize. So about that time, do y'all remember Rick came out with that Eagle Scout book or the?
It was
about the Boy Scouts.
It wasn't Fed Up. It was
no. It was about the Boy Scouts and his honoring the Boy Scouts and all that stuff. Well, and you had, was the director with you? Who's your...
Peter Berg?
Yeah, Pete.
Yeah, because he had like, he had a cap on.
Had a baseball cap on.
And Anita was like, and he was like, oh, okay. But I remember he had on neoprene deals holding on his glasses. And I was like, who is this guy? We didn't know who he was. So Joanne and I were all sitting there. And so Marcus says, can I get you a book? I didn't realize it's his book. No one's introduced him yet. This is prior, And I said, no. I said, I'm sure that Rick and Anita will send us one. I'm thinking we're there for this Boy Scout book.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, so you don't want a book? And I go, no, I'll get a book. I can't imagine that anything in there that, I'm sure they'll send me one in the mail. And he's like, okay. He's like, bitch. Of course, I still don't realize. So now all of a sudden, I see he orders a beer in a glass. You do. And just taking a sip of his beer, and I was like, I don't know some of these people at the deal. Of course, the Mossbackers there are being so nice. So now Rick goes, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I bet you they're related. I don't know Mark as a soldier. He hasn't been introduced yet. This is the pre, and I still had baby brain. I got a newborn at home. And so,
you're like, who's this tatted up guy?
Well, but no, he had a long suit on. No, he had
I was dressed up.
He looked like he was ready for Wall Street.
Okay.
And so Rick gets up there and introduces him and is this hero. And I'm just like, I want to put a fork in my eye because I don't know. He just was he looks like a lawyer or a stockbroker, he didn't say anything about himself. So I didn't know that that's what we were doing. So he gets up there to speak, and I'll never forget. He says, there's a lot of, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. There's a lot of really great, wonderful people in this world. And there's some not so great people. I'm here to take out the not so great people. And I just looked over at Joanne Herring, and because she's like, honey, I just don't know how long I can stay. And so then he gets up there and says that no one was moving.
Oh my gosh.
No one. We were glued. After that, we hung on his every word. I bet I heard him speak 25 times the next year. Anytime. I just want you to come to dinner. Come to this, come to that. I want everybody to hear the story. It was so amazing to me. And I ended up becoming great friends with your agent, David, and who I wrote him this morning. And I'm thinking to myself, I've known David.
I've been with him a long time.
I know, but I can remember now, look, David, you've got to marry that girl. Now they have 2 kids.
Aww.
Been with him through his father passing during COVID.
Yeah.
And just what a wonderful, I never had the nerve to tell you that I completely, just the Mossbackers called and tell you to be somewhere. Robert, okay, I'm there.
That is so funny.
I'm there.
That was pre-me.
Yeah.
But barely.
I just gotten back.
Barely.
I
was raw. I just gotten back.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So are you going to actually, you had mentioned that the K9 is a concept, but has it been implemented?
It is starting the employment. We're getting everything written up now, and Davin Healthcare is who we're joining up with. And so we should have everything up and rolling by the end of the year. But cool. Hospitals are like, absolutely. we want this. So it's them. Of course, they have to have a handler. So we're getting contracts.
Hospital with a K9 in there. Then there's all that HIPAA and all them rules come into play, man.
But if you can keep the everybody's temperature, and and even if somebody's temperature is not, they're gonna look at that dog and go,
I better not act up.
I better not. Mm-hmm. And that's what we find in the schools too.
Yeah.
I mean, words. So
first of all, the kids love it.
The kids.
It makes them. You automatically feel better, which is a health thing, which you're healing automatically with that.
So I watched some video. We put a dog in a school, and so one of the counselors, like foster kids. So she says, I'm going to say like once a week or twice a month, I have to interview these kids for 15 minutes. Well, maybe they don't know who their father is. Their mother's in prison. They're being abused by their foster relatives. I mean, just any kind of worst case scenario. They don't want to say anything because they're like, you've already separated me from my brother, or you're just going to take me away. Y'all are the bad people. And so a counselor will say, I'm really running behind today. I'm going to get to you. Would you do me a favor? My job is to watch this dog today. If you could just brush her while I go fax some things or do whatever, and then they'll watch from a closed camera in another room. And by the time they walk back in, they feel so safe and secure with that dog. They're singing like a bird. This is who touched me. This is who's doing drugs. This is who has this. And,
that's good.
And it just makes them feel so much more grounded. Then if the kids do something good, they get the dog in their class. And it's got, and our schools will send them their yearbooks. They get their own page.
Aww.
And they love that, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, I wish I was half the man my dog thought I was. I don't remember when Rigby died. I mourned his death, and I think about my time as my best friend. We traveled everywhere together. And he taught me more about myself than I could have ever learned from a lot of grown men. And that dude never said one word to me. He couldn't even speak. But yet, he was the most comforting thing. How about that?
Yeah.
I tell my friends, like, hey, man, I talk too much. I mean, because sitting and listening is a good skill set to have. And then just those lab eyes they give you, you're like, hey, that story you told me is messed up. But, I ain't going to go nowhere.
I got you back.
I got you back. Guess what? I'm not going to say anything. That's the best part about it, man. They ain't going to say nothing. And they're just always there. And they can feel you. Right. Like the minute you get tensed up, I don't care where they're at. They'll come meandering on in there. They know.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, most of the dogs we use in K9s for Kids are not going to be dual purpose dogs. Right. They may look it, but we don't want a liability.
Right.
Sure.
That now there are a couple of schools that we do allow to have them because they're LAPD. So they have, they're full people.
Necessary.
Yeah.
That's all that
people
is.
Are getting shot
necessary.
Blank in the. But for your average school, it's just going to be a single purpose. Either explosive or dope. But it makes all the difference. And these kids feel like I'm important because somebody cares enough about me. Oh, our school, we have a dog. Y'all don't have a dog? I mean, it's just...
Our school doesn't have a dog.
Well, when I went to school was my safe place.
Yeah.
Our kids don't have
They don't feel like that.
Yeah. We
were talking about that the other day. I was like, the one place you should go to feel safe is your school.
And, I went and fought against campus carry. And before anybody calls me a liberal whack job, I'm a lifetime member of the NRA and all these great things. But when I said, y'all don't get it, you're going to let an 18 or 19-year-old kid have a gun at A&M. He's sitting in a classroom with 400 people, and Billy likes Susie, but Susie likes Tommy. But she just happens to hook up with Billy. Come Monday, when, you've got somebody that's got their, butt hurt, whole thing. All we know for sure is Susie's a slut.
Yeah.
But he comes in and says, I'm going to show her, I'm going to have this gun. He's not even thinking.
Yeah.
That's what young people do, show off.
Right, show off.
And there's a feeling that goes with the first time you put a gun on your hip and walk around with it. Changes the way you look at people. Changes the way you feel. It's like a personal bodyguard on your hip. And there's something else to it because they don't know you have it. And then heaven help you if you get permission to use that sucker against somebody. Mm-hmm. And then it goes further. And the team, police, I mean, you can't imagine. It's like putting a bunch of money in your pocket for the first time. And it changes you. You put that power to a 17, 18-year-old, he can't help it.
No.
Especially if something beautiful sits and he wants to show it off a little bit. He's like, look at the steel, kind of, it just happens. You can't. I understand completely where your angle is on that.
And that's all it is. In other words, we know and to arm teachers, when they didn't get into this profession, it wasn't reading, writing, and Remington. Now, look, I think a lot of teachers are married to cops, and maybe if you feel comfortable with a gun, I'm not saying that if you already have that established, it shouldn't. But we know as a surgeon, a doctor, a policeman, a pilot, take an oath 24 hours out. You're not going to take and ingest anything that could imbibe.
Oh, yeah. There's that too.
24 hours out. But Susie now teaches second grade, and she's out with her girlfriends at a bachelorette party. Maybe they're gone to a Rockets game and margaritas, and now it's 1 o'clock, and she says, y'all, I've got to grade papers. And she's taking Wellbutrin because she's trying to stop smoking. She's taking Adderall to pay attention. She's only going to take a half an Ambien just to try to, because she's got to be at carpool line by 10 till 7. Mm-hmm. And her boyfriend this year, which everybody else got a ring, she got a 38. Mm-hmm. And it's like, really? So she's going to go save the day. And this little demon kid that's now got a mini Mac, something belt fed, and he wants the longest Wikipedia page. And she's got 6 shots in a Smith & Wesson. She's going to take, most shots are missed within 7 yards. She's going to take 2 kids out by accident. Yeah. You know, this is a worst case scenario.
Because you can't train for it.
No, you can't.
You can train them how to shoot, but there's something different when that goes down. There's something that comes over you.
Absolutely.
And the only way you'll ever be able to train into that is if you get into it.
I do think that teachers, if they want to, I don't think it should be mandatory at all, but if teachers wanted to go and train to be protectors, that they should be able to do it. But like
send the trainers into the school,
right,
with a trailer. You got that mobile trailer now, and just for 1 week, just funnel them into
CERT.
CERT.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy has that. I
don't know why that's not a.
He has a training for teachers that if they want to learn how to protect their classroom or protect themselves, protect their kid, all that, they can go. I don't even think he charges for that. They can go and learn how to do that. And it's not like a one-day thing.
No,
it's
right.
a several-day course to make them feel comfortable, to get them prepared and to be comfortable. If they do stuff like that, I think that...
Oh, it couldn't. School year comes back around. Just come back around on them.
Mm-hmm. I think they should be able to.
A refresher like we always do in the military. It's like 2 weeks every year.
But that's just it. They're not... So now what it used to be when you first got your carry, it was like 16 hours. Then it went to 8. I think now it's floor.
The concealed carry?
Yeah.
It's super easy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then again, they're not going to a range.
Yeah.
I promise you, they're not going to practice.
Yeah.
That's how you know things are loosening up and getting dangerous.
Right. And so when
stuff like that
somebody looks at me and says, oh, I want to buy my girlfriend, or she's a girl, and says, what kind of gun should I get? Mm-hmm. What you will carry and what you will go practice with.
Mm-hmm. What you'll practice with is the main thing. My mom bought a gun, and I'm like, have you ever shot a gun? So like, you need to go shoot guns before you buy a gun. Figure out what you're comfortable with.
Drawing out that big old 50 cal Desert Eagle. Can't even lift it up. Like, hey, man, you just scared a mess out of him. I ain't worried about you shooting me. You beat him to death with it or scared a mess out of him.
I mean, it just, to me, no one, and then they put it aside, and I said, you should have 1,000 rounds through that thing. It's so hot that you can't touch it before you ever even think about carrying it on you. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when they talk about, take away our guns, I'm like, we live in Texas. They issue you more when you get here.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been to the Capitol. They have a separate line. You have a gun on you. Oh, you get to go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Look, I was my daughter's out of school now. She's at Emory, but I walked in and went to a board meeting at the school and threw my purse down to hug somebody, and my HK went flying across that. And the principal looked at me and said, can I see you after the meeting? And I said, sure. Gathered everything up, put it back down, and everybody had left. And I said, look, I know you're supposed to be chewing my ass out or something right now. And he goes, well, there's clear walls, like everybody's looking. And he said, but this isn't a gun-free, this is a gun-free zone. I said, if I'm here, it's not, but that's just between me and you.
Oh my gosh.
What are you going to do, take away my birthday?
I got to tell you, this isn't the first time the principal's ever yelled at me, okay?
Yeah.
You're going to have to come at me with something a little bit harder than that.
Why are we so lackadaisical? People will take their cars and back it into a spot 100 feet away from everybody else, but yet you don't even worry about the protection your child has.
Yeah.
What?
I know, it's crazy.
It just blows me away. Why is we not putting this in every school?
Yeah.
We have 600 pending grant applications.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we have 600 pending grant applications.
Probably just waiting for somebody to develop the program.
No,
Right.
we need people to fund it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, but first we have to develop it, right? And then kind of get the idea what's going on.
I have the K9s for Kids has been around since 2012.
Yeah.
It works. I protect 2.5 million kids a day, but it's the K9 for Care.
Yeah, my point.
Yeah.
Let's you develop it, and then once it's like you build it, they'll show up. It's kind of like
Well, I say that, but then everybody goes, "Oh, I just saw you got that $10 million bus." So wait, no, we didn't get anything.
Yeah.
No. And so if let's say somebody comes along and it's a Harris County Sheriff's Department, they're working with DPS and then they're working with DEA, and they know that an 18-wheeler is going to be coming through. It's called a whisper stop. And so they say, okay, between 5 and 7, this certain truck will come through, and we know that he's hauling this or he's got this in the back. And so they wait and they pull him over for, your light or your switch, whatever. Oh, I need to check it out. Well, then everybody's waiting. So they split that up among each department. I had an officer call me one night, and he's a little homegrown, a little country. And he said, oh my gosh, he said, I just got, I don't know exactly what I got. He said, but we pulled this guy over and he had like an old GTO or something in the back. He couldn't speak English. He was going to Chicago, but everything was welded shut.
My gosh.
Well, he's just a mule.
Yeah.
And so he said, I took my dog and picked him up and put him up in there. And so he hit. And I said, and then what happened? He goes, oh, I don't know. He said he hit, so they were just going to take it. No. Get in your car, and it's 2 a.m. Go back. That's part of your department's too. And he goes, are you sure? And I said, they couldn't have had the hit without the dog.
Yeah.
And again, we've given probably 150,000 T-Cole training hours.
My gosh.
And so if you'd have told me 25 years ago, hey, you're going to be working with cops a lot, and I'm going to prison. I couldn't figure out what. I would not have told you this would have been my life.
Yeah.
And but I can't walk away from it, because if I don't do it, I feel like nobody will.
Yeah. My gosh.
It's your calling.
So 400 dogs later, and almost $9 billion confiscated. So, but how many departments, even DPS didn't do this. You'll say, hey, now when you deployed as a Navy SEAL, do y'all have like a journal that we flew in on this, just your stats, do they keep?
Independently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of these departments don't keep that. And I'll go, so how much did your department do before? Because we don't ever try to deny anybody, but try to figure out how much of a hot spot are they. Mm-hmm. If it's something,
that's an experience thing.
Yeah. And
a leadership thing, just to be able to tell the guys to do that.
But so like I wrote up a program, built that, okay, here's what I need to know what you feed. We don't want to know that it was the judge's granddaughter. All that's coded, so we don't get involved in that. I just need to know, how much drug did you take? Did they have guns? Did they have meth? Was this part of a meth lab? Is this a cartel associated thing? And so then when somebody comes to me and says, okay, this part of East Texas, do y'all have any traffic there? Well, funny you say that, because that is an area we've got a lot of white China heroin coming in last year, but there's also meth labs around here. And I've just got these maps now that
That's so crazy. You would have never...
14 years, yeah.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I don't think this was supposed to be my life. I think I was supposed to be like taking tennis lessons somewhere, or being on a yacht, or
supposed to be at the Houston Racket Club.
Yeah, exactly. But somehow this has become my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's sometimes they will call, and I turn my phone off. It goes off automatically like at 10 and doesn't come on until like 7 in the morning, because these guys get so excited. If they get a bust, they want to share it.
Yeah, talk to somebody.
Yeah. And so I set up a thing. One of the things you wouldn't think about, I had given a dog to a guy in Georgia. And so he was giving the command to the dog, and it was just Stellan to bite. And he's like, Stellan. And I said, okay, it's Stellan.
Yeah.
And
you have to
Stellan. And as it doesn't have 4 syllables. So you could see the dog had already done the work with another handler. But as he's saying to do it, the dog's looking at him like, is he giving me the command?
How smart is that?
Is this? Well, I know.
Yeah, right.
I've seen it to where the dogs, let's say they'll be running 20, 30, or they're gaining speed. Now they get up to 35 miles an hour. They're trained to go to the load-bearing leg.
That's crazy.
Who even, I mean,
yeah,
the load-bearing leg.
Yeah, that's teaching predators how to attack.
Oh my gosh.
And so when you, I thought to myself, they need to have a phone a friend.
Yeah.
So my stepdaughter had been in AA, and I said, so how does that work really? And she says, well, if I'm at a party or anything and I feel uncomfortable and don't have a ride, I can call my sponsor at 1 a.m. and wake them up. So I went back to my office. I said, I need a sheet on each time zone, everybody that has mouths, everybody has shepherds, whatever they have, and do they speak German, Dutch, Hungarian, and then I'm going to put them together, because somebody in Olive Branch, Mississippi, he wants nothing more than to say, I got a guy.
Yeah.
And he's in LA. Now, he may say, hey, I'm too afraid to go tell my lieutenant. I sent the dog to do this and he wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And maybe the lieutenant doesn't know about dogs. He's just thinking at this point, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And he's going to hear, oh, if you can't do your job, we'll find somebody that can. But he can call this guy that's working nights too and say, hey, I sent him in. I did this. Did I reward him too fast? What's the deal? And you've got now a trainer equivalent.
Sure. It's like having message boards of all the cool things the dog do.
Thanksgiving when you call the Butterball people and go, what? Yeah, so they can.
How do you do this thing?
How do you do this?
Yeah.
I've got a guy trapped in a meth den.
Hey, you're not going to believe this, operator, what I got here, man. Have y'all got any of this ever happened?
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
But when you have, I have one of the retired K9s, and his name is Batu, and he just sprawls out. He like, I'm done. I'm not going to bite anybody. But I have some bites of him, and he worked down by the border. And there was a guy that was trafficking children, and he tripped and fell. And I'm just going to say they probably walked real slow getting to it, because I saw brain matter.
Oh my gosh. So speaking of, what does happen to the retired dogs?
Well, usually they'll stay with their handlers. Mm-hmm. He had some complications and he needed some surgery. So he just came to my ranch and never left. But usually rehome or some of them can get a little gritty. Yeah. You've seen them in those Navy SEAL dogs are going to be a whole nother level of gritty. Mm-hmm. That, you're jumping out of a helicopter a couple hundred feet in the air.
Oh, yeah.
They're a certain level of...
I've been around them.
They're adrenaline junkies.
Yeah.
Just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's no better picture when they're jumping out of those planes, them doggles on, their tongue flying, and they're the best.
Mm-hmm. But I had to tell you the funny thing. I have a friend that is still in, I don't know what team he is, but Will race. And Will had come over to our house, and Sinclair was pretty little, and she's speaking Dutch to her dog. And, you know, he said, how old is your daughter? I said, she's 5. And he's like, that's what I want to do in the SEALs. Okay. So he's there, they're in Coronado, they're training, whatever. And whoever the trainer is, I guess they brought in, he's like, some people had gotten bit or whatever, like, go down, get sewed up. You know, you're not a puss. Come back down, you know, the whole deal. So he's describing this. He said, the instructor pulls up a video of my daughter. He'd gotten it off the internet, but it shows her working her dog. And he said, if this little kid can do that, I don't want to hear any about you guys. And he goes, oh my God. He said, she's my inspiration for being in here.
Oh
he
my
said,
gosh.
15 SEALs all turn around and look at me, and they said, she better have the same last name as you. And he goes, no, we're family friends. It's okay. And so he pulls up on his phone. He goes, Cece, no, we know her.
Oh my God.
But he said, I had really never been on that side of it. And he was like, they all looked at me and goes, she better have some, your inspiration, really?
That's a big word.
Yeah. But, you know, it's just, I look back on it, and when you turn on the news and you see that your dog's gone in, the guy that, who did he shoot? Like a week ago, and he drove to Galveston and drove off in Galveston Bay.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that.
Anyway, killed a guy, and, you know, they threw the dog in. The dog went and got him out of Galveston Bay. And
my gosh.
I was like, that's our boy.
That is crazy. So how can our listeners help all of your
projects? If they go to, they can follow us everywhere on K9s4cops, and it's K9 9S 4cops.org. And then all the K9s for Kids, K9s for Care, everything will be under that right now. But we're on all the platforms, you know, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You can see a lot of our takedowns and things like that. We post all the time. And like I said, we've got over 600 applications pending.
But how much does it take for you to send a dog somewhere?
Depending, the least expensive dog is going to be about $15,000, and they can go up to $50,000 for those ninja type.
Wow. So you need a lot of money.
Yeah. It would be so great if I've gone to DC and met with McCall, and he loved it. And the program, we don't want to have to go to Europe anymore to get dogs. I mean, we're impressed with their product and things like that. But the fact that you have to go all the way over there. Yeah. And then are they really going to give you the top tier? No. So McCall looked at me and said, okay, if we needed 300 dogs, honestly, how long would it take? I said, if anybody told you it would take less than 8 months to a year, they're lying. Because a lot of these dogs are going to wash out. You're going to send them back. And then to send them back to Europe is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So if we had our own breeding program at Texas A&M, how great that would be. It could utilize every...
Yeah. There's a couple of guys that are off the grid that raise them, but you need the facility like that.
But a big, Auburn does it. Yeah. They with labs.
Like Southeastern.
Yes.
They turn out their own product.
Have you ever been there? I highly recommend y'all go check that out. It's the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
Where?
For dogs. It's in Tampa. Right outside of Tampa, St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Southeastern Guide Dogs is mainly for seeing
I've heard of them.
For seeing eye dogs. That's where Rigby came from. And they take their flunk outs and use them for emotional support dogs, for all different kinds of things. Like my little sister had the heart issue. She got a dog to kind of warn of infections and different things. But their campus and their breeding facility is...
How long have they been there?
Oh gosh,
don't give me lying. It's been a minute.
Over 20 years, maybe. I don't know. It's.
Are they nonprofit too?
They are a nonprofit, but they are their main thing is seeing eye dogs. That's their main focus. And they have an actual schoolhouse for the blind that when they're paired with a dog, they get training there at the schoolhouse.
You walk out, there's train track crossings, and I mean, it's like this obstacle course.
It's a campus, like a huge campus. It's like a college for dogs, but their breeding facility there is really impressive. Yeah. And since you're in
how many dogs do they have on campus?
I tell you what, girl, if you love labs, you don't want to walk in there because you won't leave.
I mean, hundreds.
Oh, wow.
But they know everything about the lineage of the dogs that they're breeding. Like, they'll take out the runts and they study those. And, like, the last time we were there, they had some little bitty baby puppies in a little incubator. And I was like, what's going on with these? Why are they separated? And they're like, these have diabetes. We can't figure out why. Like, it is super, super impressive.
And probably so clean.
So clean.
Couldn't even smell a dog.
You can't smell a dog.
Can't even smell a dog when you walk in there.
And there's different sections to it. But just since y'all are in the dog world, you should go check it out. And it's not competition because this is
no. And I don't look at anybody like competition.
This is something to learn from.
If you're lucky enough to get a dog out of there, I mean, I don't know how you get one out of there now, but I mean, it's...
Well, they have a thing for veterans called Paws for Patriots.
Yes.
And it's very hard to get it because they don't have a lot of flunk outs. But Rigby flunked out because he didn't like slippery floors.
Yeah.
So he would tip tap on the floor. And
it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was so funny. Like in airports, he would walk on his tippy toes.
The first time I was walking and I turned around, he wasn't there. I was like, where the hell?
Split floor.
Where you at, man? He's back over. I mean... claws out, locked in like Bambi on ice, and looking at me with this look. I'm like, what's going on, bro? And
he hated it.
He'd high step off of that
they
stuff.
Hate it.
It's hilarious, man. I mean, he can handle anything. But that.
Yeah, he couldn't do slippery floors, so he flunked.
Freaking like that at all, man.
But he was so good at other things.
Everything.
So
except for that.
And like Ranger that we have, he was a flunk out because he was too empathetic. They said that he would focus.
They're tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Very tough because it's for a blind person. Like they have to perform duties, so they can't just be there to love on you.
And where do you see Meet Ranger? That's what he's a lover, man. He just kind of, what's up?
Ranger just wants to love you all day
lay down over top of you.
So he flunked for being too empathetic, and when Rigby had just died a few months before, they were like, this dog would be good with Marcus.
We got one for you.
So
he's perfect too because Rigby was sugar white.
Yeah,
he's jet black, but he's got little spots on him that there's
like
some
brindle, like
a little brindle thing. I'm like, it's Rigby. The paint didn't dry.
Do they breed their own labs?
Yes, they will not accept any labs given to them. They have a bloodline that
works for them.
That they have had forever, and there's several of them. So. They have a whole, like a genetics facility with geneticists and like all.
But like Rigby had that great big block
head. That block head, man.
He did. It's
medium-sized body and that big old block head.
Since y'all are in this world, it's worth a trip to Tampa.
Okay.
And we can introduce you to Bobby Newman, who's on the board, and he would give you a tour of it. My dad went out there when my little sister got the dog, and he goes, I thought we were going to kennel. He said, I had no idea what to expect. This is not a kennel. This is a A&M
facility
for dogs.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, the most impressive thing you will see for dogs.
I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, you really should
I'll go with
out
you.
there. Yeah.
I like going back there just to see them.
We love going out there and just seeing the people are all nice. It's mostly volunteers that work there. And
they're all in the scrubs.
How many acres is there?
Several. I don't know exactly, but it's big. It's a big, like...
What was the question?
How many acres?
How many acres?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't get me lying to you.
But it's not like fields. It's like a campus. Like there's different buildings for everything. There are like outdoor tracks for
there's gardens, everything.
Probably not labs, the dog, but laboratories to do all
lots of
there
labs.
Is. And one of the things you should mention is what you know about how the dogs are acquired in Europe. We know how they're treated, and it is not good. And these dogs that we're getting, what we're asking them.
I'm sure Marcus knows too. But
I know, but you should.
Well, I mean, I haven't been to Europe to see it, but I mean, you know, they to get a dog to KNPV or that level, you know, they start training them at 6 weeks old on the in the tug and everything else. And look, I think that there's a lot of heavy hands, let's just say, that go into it to get their attention. And you know, when you can take a quarter and throw it down, and then I tell my dog, don't move. Her ass better be there 4 hours from now.
Yeah.
Unless I released her and she's still watching that article guard.
Yeah.
But the way they correct them in Europe, I mean, you know, it's
just like military.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's tough. Boarding school.
Get their attention.
Yeah, get their attention, man.
You beat them up to build them up.
Yeah.
But they'll do that.
Yeah.
A freaking sucker old man, they won't move.
Right. No. And it's really cool to watch them when they work, and because they do want to please.
Yeah.
That's, you know, but it's such a feel-good story.
Yeah.
When it all comes together. But some of the ones that don't make it, or that, you know, that they're too aggressive. They want that in certain situations. But if you can't turn your back on your dog.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Or when they're biting us.
Right.
We had one that did that in the beginning.
Yeah.
He would tear our asses up on the plane, in the helicopter. He was just mean. Dodo. I'll never forget him or his name. They gave him his own tent and his handler. Yeah,
Did he and the handler get along?
Yeah, they got along great.
Usually it just takes that one.
Yeah. But what happens if something happens to the handler? Who's going to...
Well, that's the problem. That's why.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on
that was
and
great.
sharing your
Absolutely.
story.
Thank you so much.
And if anybody wants to donate, they just go to
K9s4cops.org.
Cops with an S in the middle.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we have a podcast called Listen Kristi. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Twice a week.
Really?
Awesome. That's
And
a
we
lot of
built
work.
out-
That's a lot of work, girl.
Yeah, it is. And so then we do a podcast and do some outtakes on K9s4cops. We'll talk about bus, kind of our own little online patrol.
Somehow get them to filter that stuff to you.
Well,
Cops. What's
bus?
that new cop show on TV?
They filter it all to me. So here's one thing about so I own all these dogs. So it is like a balloon note that they don't ever have to pay back. The way they pay us back is giving us the stats. So how much good have you done with your dog?
That's good.
But if there's something nefarious that happens, or maybe they're taking their dog to run a load for the cartel, by the time the sheriff or whoever's in charge figures out what they need to do, I can step in, and we'll only have to do it once, but step in and say, you know what, let me take my dog back, put it somewhere else. You rectify whatever the situation is happening, and then we'll either give you your dog back or get you a brand new dog.
Awesome.
And
Damn, that's squared away.
Really squared
but
away.
that way I can keep, because you just don't want to hand anybody something, because then there's no sweat and tears in it for them. But they're not going to appreciate it if they have to keep turning, if they're being graded on it.
Yeah. That's really cool. Well, thank you for coming. I love it.
Thank you, guys.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.